Have you ever felt a surge of determination in the morning, only to be distracted by your phone, social media, or bad habits by the afternoon? Most of us fall into this cycle, experiencing fleeting motivation, but lacking the discipline to sustain it. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Stoicism teaches us that willpower is not an innate trait, but a skill that can be cultivated. Today, we will uncover 9 secrets from the Stoic masters to forge unshakable discipline, empowering you to master yourself, conquer challenges, and take control of your life. 1. The practice of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a fleeting emotion, but a mindset that can completely transform the way we perceive the world. In Stoic philosophy, gratitude is not about waiting for something grand to happen before we feel content. Instead, it is about learning to appreciate even the smallest aspects of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "Do not waste what you have by desiring what you do not." This perspective helps us break free from the illusion that happiness lies somewhere in the future, and instead, focus on the abundance already present in our lives. Without cultivating gratitude, we easily fall into dissatisfaction, always feeling like we lack something, even when, in reality, we have much to be thankful for. Gratitude not only strengthens discipline, but also fosters a stable state of mind, reduces stress, and redirects our focus toward the positive, rather than being consumed by negativity. One of the simplest, yet most effective Stoic exercises is to list 3 things you are grateful for each night before going to sleep. It could be a crisp morning, a meaningful conversation, or simply completing a difficult task. By focusing on what is good, the brain gradually develops the habit of recognizing positivity rather than fixating on hardships. Over time, you will realize that your life has always been rich and fulfilling. It was just a matter of seeing it clearly. Practicing gratitude does not mean ignoring hardships or pretending that everything is perfect. Stoics do not view the world through rose-colored lenses. They acknowledge that life consists of both joy and sorrow, victories and setbacks. But instead of letting adversity dictate their emotions, they choose to extract lessons from hardships and remain grateful even when things do not go as planned. Think about the challenges you have overcome, how they have made you stronger and more resilient. Be grateful for those struggles, for without them, you would not be the person you are today. Seneca once said, "A man who has never been tested does not know how strong he truly is." So embrace the obstacles on your path. They are the very trials that shape you. If you wish to integrate gratitude deeply into your life, start each morning with a positive thought about what you already have. The moment you wake up, remind yourself that you have been given another day to learn, to love, to grow. Look around and recognize that you possess what millions of others long for: a healthy body, a roof over your head, a nourishing meal. When we learn to appreciate what we often take for granted, we begin to transform how we approach life. Small things, a morning cup of coffee, a cool breeze, or even a quiet moment, can become sources of motivation to start the day with a better mindset. Gratitude also has the power to pull us out of negative emotional states. When you find yourself overwhelmed by anger, anxiety, or a disappointment, instead of letting those emotions take control, pause and ask yourself, even in this situation, what can I still be grateful for? The answer could be as simple as realizing that, even if today is difficult, you have tomorrow to make things right. Even in failure, you are still learning and growing. This is how Stoic philosophers maintain their inner stability, refusing to let external circumstances disrupt their inner peace. Rather than cursing fate, they embraced reality and sought the good even in hardship. Gratitude is not just an internal practice. It must also be expressed outwardly. Show appreciation to those around you. A sincere thank you can change someone's entire day. When you cultivate the habit of recognizing and acknowledging the kindness of others, you create deeper connections and a more positive environment. Try sending a message of gratitude to someone who has helped you. Express appreciation to your loved ones, and let gratitude become an inseparable part of your daily life. Finally, remember that discipline does not have to be a grueling journey. It can be a meaningful one. When you learn to appreciate every step along the way, when you are grateful for each small effort, each temptation resisted, and each moment of perseverance, discipline ceases to feel like a burden and instead becomes a source of joy. And when gratitude and discipline walk hand in hand, nothing can stand in the way of you becoming the best version of yourself. 2. Daily reflection and adjustment. Reflection is not merely a passive act of looking back. It is a powerful tool that allows us to continuously adjust, improve, and become better each day. The great Stoic masters, such as Marcus Aurelius, considered journaling and self-examination an essential part of cultivating wisdom and discipline. He did not let his mind drift aimlessly, but instead took time each day to evaluate his actions, recognize his successes and mistakes, and determine how he could improve tomorrow. This is not just a formal exercise, but a profound strategy for personal growth over time. We often get caught up in the relentless pace of life and forget that without reflection, we risk repeating the same mistakes without realizing it. When we fail to reflect, we live unconsciously, controlled by old habits, fleeting emotions, and external influences. But when we pause and ask ourselves, what did I do well today? What disappointed me? How can I improve tomorrow? That is the moment we reclaim control over our lives. This practice is also how Stoic philosophers cultivated inner tranquility. They refused to be swept away by negative emotions and instead focused on continual self-improvement. One of the greatest strengths of reflection is its ability to separate us from fleeting emotions, allowing us to see things more objectively. When we are caught in anxiety, or disappointment, we often react impulsively rather than thinking rationally. However, by taking time to review the day, we gain the opportunity to reassess our emotions, determine whether our reactions were justified, and learn from those experiences for the future. This not only strengthens our self-control, but also helps us develop a resilient mind, one that remains unshaken by external circumstances. Reflection also keeps us focused on what truly matters. In today's world, distractions are everywhere, from social media and endless news cycles to unimportant relationships. If we do not ask ourselves daily, am I on the right path? Are my actions today bringing me closer to my goals? We may end up consumed by trivialities without even realizing it. Reflection is our way of constantly adjusting our course, ensuring that each day serves a purpose and brings us closer to becoming our best selves. A highly effective way to practice reflection is to keep a journal each night. Spend 5 to 10 minutes before bed, writing down what you did well, the challenges you faced, and how you can improve tomorrow. Writing not only reinforces your memory, but also helps you organize your thoughts and see things more clearly. If you struggle with the discipline of journaling, simplify the process by asking yourself 3 questions every night. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? And what can I do better tomorrow? Even a few minutes of reflection can lead to a significant shift in how you approach life. However, Reflection is not just about looking back. It is about planning how to act better in the future. If you recognize your mistakes but fail to make any changes, then reflection loses its purpose. When you identify a bad habit, take immediate steps to correct it. If you notice that you often lose focus in the morning, try modifying your environment to eliminate distractions. If procrastination is a recurring problem, set a simple rule. Complete one small task before allowing yourself to relax. The key is not just in recognizing where you went wrong, but in your willingness to make a change. Stoic philosophy does not demand perfection, but encourages continuous refinement. We cannot control everything in life, but we can control how we respond to it. And as you cultivate the habit of daily reflection, you will come to realize that no mistake is truly a failure, only a lesson that helps you grow. This mindset reduces unnecessary guilt and self-blame because you understand that every day presents a new opportunity for improvement. This is the essence of Stoic mastery. Always learning, always refining, always progressing, day by day, moment by moment. Ultimately, reflection is not a temporary exercise, but a lifelong practice. Great individuals are not those who never make mistakes, but those who continuously learn from them. If you seek control over your life, the strength of your will, and the best version of yourself, start with daily reflection. This is not merely a habit. It is the key to mastering your mind, your actions, and your future. 3. Focus on the process, not the outcome. We often become so obsessed with results that we forget the true value of the process. In every endeavor, we strive to reach our goals as quickly and efficiently as possible, yet we fail to realize that the journey itself shapes who we become. Stoicism emphasizes that focusing on the processes rather than the outcome not only strengthens discipline, but also frees us from unnecessary pressure. When we fixate on results, we are easily disappointed if things do not go as planned. But if we direct our attention to what is within our control, our daily efforts, perseverance, and discipline, nothing can shake us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This means that while we cannot always dictate the outcome, we can control our actions each day. If you want to lose weight, do not obsess success over the number on the scale. Instead, focus on maintaining a healthy diet and exercising consistently. If you seek career success, do not fixate on titles or salaries. Instead, commit to improving your skills, building relationships, and learning from experience. When you consistently do the right things, the results will follow naturally. By placing all our attention on the outcome, we unintentionally create pressure and lose motivation when things do not go as expected. Imagine learning to play the guitar. If your sole focus is becoming a master guitarist, rather than enjoying the learning process, you will quickly become frustrated and quit when progress is slow. But if you shift your perspective and focus in each practice session, each note played better than yesterday, you will develop a lasting passion and commitment. True growth does not come from achieving a singular goal, but from steady, incremental progress each day. Stoics never tie their happiness to a final result because they understand that outcomes lie beyond their control. They know that true success is not measured by how many achievements one accumulates, but by the refusal to abandon one's journey. When you focus on the processes, failures lose their sting. If you write a book and it does not sell well, that does not mean you have failed. The real victory is in the discipline you developed, the daily writing practice you honed, and the meaningful work you created. That is what truly matters. Focusing on the process also allows you to fully experience the present moment. When you give your undivided attention to what you are doing, you feel a greater sense of peace and fulfillment. Consider a marathon runner. If he only thinks about crossing the finish line, he will miss the beauty of each stride, each breath, and his connection to his body. But if he immerses himself in the rhythm of his steps, the feeling of movement, and the cadence of his breathing, the race becomes an experience rather than just a finish line to chase. Life is the same. If you are always looking ahead and never appreciating the journey, you will constantly feel like something is missing, always chasing an illusion while overlooking the richness of the present. A simple way to practice this mindset is to set action-based goals rather than outcome-based ones. Instead of saying, "I want to reach 10,000 YouTube subscribers," say, "I will upload one high-quality video every week for a year." Instead of saying, "I want to lose 10 pounds," say, "I will exercise for at least 30 minutes every day." Action-based goals remove unnecessary pressure and ensure that you stay committed to the process without losing motivation when results do not appear immediately. Finally, remember that success is not a destination. It is a journey. When you learn to love the process, you free yourself from the highs and lows of short-term success or failure. You will find satisfaction even before reaching your goal, because you know that each day you are becoming a better version of yourself. This is how the Stoic philosophers maintained their tranquility, discipline, and unshakable resolve. If you seek a meaningful life, do not place your happiness in some future outcome. Embrace each step and let the process shape you into the strongest version of yourself. 4. Embrace discomfort. We often seek comfort and avoid hardship, yet true growth only happens in discomfort. Stoicism teaches that ease never forges strength. When you shy away from challenges, you also reject opportunities for growth. The most successful people are not those who avoid pain, but those who confront it, using it as a tool for self-mastery. Seneca once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." If you see hardship as an enemy, you will always run from it. But if you see it as a teacher, you will learn to overcome any obstacle life throws your way. We live in a world optimized for instant comfort. You can order food with a single click, watch endless movies without waiting, and scroll through social media to escape boredom. But the cost of this convenience is that we lose our ability to tolerate discomfort. When real challenges arise, a failure, a loss, a setback, we feel utterly unprepared. The Stoics did not live this way. They understood that to be strong, they had to actively seek discomfort, placing themselves in difficult situations to forge resilience. One of Seneca's practices was deliberately living in poverty. He would spend days eating only the simplest food, wearing rough clothes, and sleeping on the floor, reminding himself that even if he lost everything, he could endure. Why would a wealthy philosopher do this? Because he knew that wealth does not bring true freedom. Only the ability to face hardship without fear can do that. If you can remain at peace in the harshest conditions, nothing can intimidate you. You are no longer controlled by the fear of loss or uncertainty. We can apply this philosophy in our daily lives by challenging ourselves intentionally. Do not wait for adversity to come. Seek it out. If you fear the cold, take cold showers in the morning. If you struggle with boredom, spend a day without your phone. If you procrastinate, force yourself to tackle the hardest task first. Every time you do this, you strengthen your discipline and send a powerful message to your mind. You are capable of handling discomfort, and when real challenges arise, you will not panic. You will be prepared. Anyone who excels in their field understands that growth never comes from comfort. An athlete cannot become stronger without pushing their body beyond its limits. A leader cannot develop resilience without facing difficult decisions. And a disciplined person cannot build willpower if they always follow their feelings instead of their commitments. When you embrace discomfort, you embrace growth. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become its master. Every hardship becomes an opportunity to sharpen your mental strength, and each challenge you overcome makes you more unshakable. One of Stoicism's core principles is the love of fate. Instead of resisting difficulties, learn to welcome them as a natural part of life. Do not resent bad days. Do not complain about struggles, and do not wish for an easier life. Wish instead for the strength to handle anything. When you shift your perspective on discomfort, you realize it is not as terrifying as you once thought. It is simply a test designed to make you stronger, more disciplined, and more in control of yourself. And the most powerful realization is that after enough training, you will no longer see discomfort as suffering. You will see it as an essential part of your growth. Ultimately, if you want a meaningful life, you must be willing to face difficulty. You can choose the easy path, but it will lead nowhere. Or you can choose the path of discipline, challenge, and transformation. And when you take that path, you will discover that nothing can stop you except your own mindset. Step boldly into discomfort, for it is there that you will find the strongest version of yourself. 5. Define your why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you seek discipline? If you cannot answer these questions clearly, any plan or determination you have will soon fade. Stoicism teaches that without a strong enough reason, nothing can be sustained in the long run. Marcus Aurelius believed that every person must live according to a telos, a guiding purpose that directs all their actions. Without it, we are easily swept away by fleeting desires and emotions, only to find ourselves trapped in regret for not following the right path. Many people begin their journey of discipline with vague goals like, I want to be successful, I want to be healthy, or I want to be wealthy. But such desires are not deep enough to serve as lasting motivation. When challenges arise, when exhaustion sets in, when temptation shakes your resolve, a vague wish will not be strong enough to pull you forward. This is why so many people quit halfway. They start with excitement, but because they lack a clear reason, they are easily defeated when things get difficult. If you want to build sustainable discipline, you must first understand why you need it. Imagine you want to wake up early every day to exercise. If your reason is simply to look good, then on a cold morning, wrapped in the warmth of your bed, you will easily tell yourself, skipping today won't hurt. But if your reason is to maintain a strong body, to care for your family, to live a fulfilling life, and to avoid regrets in old age, then even when you do not feel like getting up, you will do it anyway. When your reason is strong enough, you will not need to rely on emotions to take action. Emotions change from day to day, but a deep purpose does not. It becomes the compass that keeps you disciplined, even when motivation fades. An effective way to define your reason is to ask yourself why multiple times for any goal. For example, if you want to be disciplined in studying, ask, why do I want to study? Perhaps the answer is, because I want a good job. Then ask, why do I want a good job? Maybe it's because I want financial freedom. Keep going. Why do I want financial freedom? You may realize, because I do not want to live in constant worry. I want to provide for my family, and I want control over my life. When you dig deep enough, you will find a reason powerful enough to drive you forward. One that is not just about personal desires, but tied to your core values. The Stoics understood that a life without purpose is like a ship drifting aimlessly at sea. If you do not know where you are going, any passing wind can throw you off course. But when your purpose is clear, you are no longer swayed by short-term distractions. If you know you are building a strong career to support your family, you will not waste time on meaningless pleasures. If you know you are training your body to live fully, you will not skip workouts just because you feel lazy. Defining your why also strengthens your mindset when by facing challenges these days. Those who lack discipline always seek the easy way, while those with a clear purpose understand that struggle is unavoidable. When you know that hardship is merely part of the journey toward your goal, you will not feel discouraged or lose motivation when obstacles arise. Instead, you will see them as tests that make you stronger. Seneca once said, "No wind is favorable to a sailor who has no destination." If you do not know what you are striving for, you will always feel lost, unmotivated, and quick to give up. Take the time to write down your true reason, not what others expect from you, not what society pressures you to pursue, but the reason that comes from within. That is what will keep you standing firm when things get tough. That is what will drive you to take action, even when motivation fades. When you fully understand why you must do something, excuses disappear, procrastination fades, and emotions no longer dictate your choices. You will tap into a deep well of inner strength that nothing can shake. And when you live with a clear purpose, discipline is no longer a burden. It becomes a natural part of who you are. 6. Surround yourself with disciplined people. Have you ever noticed how much your environment influences your habits and mindset? If you spend most of your time around disciplined, hardworking, and persistent individuals, you will naturally become more like them. But if you are constantly surrounded by unmotivated people who procrastinate and give up easily, you will gradually absorb those tendencies without even realizing it. Stoicism emphasizes that we are products of the environments we choose. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be a writer, associate with writers. If you wish to be a philosopher, spend time with philosophers." This principle applies not only to knowledge, but to every aspect of life. If you want to build discipline, you must surround yourself with a disciplined people. We often believe that sheer willpower is enough to sustain good habits, but in reality, willpower is not constant. It is easily worn down by external influences. When you are around disciplined individuals, their actions inspire you and create a new standard that you aspire to meet. Conversely, if you constantly interact with those who lack ambition and self-improvement, you will slowly adopt their habits without even realizing it. This is why so many people remain stuck in negative cycles, not because they lack the ability to change, but because their environment does not encourage that change. One of the simplest ways to apply this principle is to be intentional about the relationships you cultivate. If you want to be physically fit, build friendships with those who prioritize exercise and make fitness a core part of their lives. If you seek career growth, connect with passionate individuals who are eager to learn and advance. If you aim to develop discipline, seek out people with structured routines, strong work ethics, and unwavering commitment to their goals. When you are surrounded by the right influences, you will naturally adopt their habits and mindset with minimal effort. But what if the people around you lack discipline? If your current environment does not support your growth, create a new one for yourself. You can do this by joining communities of like-minded individuals who share your goals and motivation. Today, Connecting with disciplined people is not limited by geography. You can engage with online groups, follow inspiring figures, participate in forums, or join clubs where disciplined individuals gather. When you proactively shape a space where discipline is the norm, maintaining good habits becomes significantly easier. Another crucial factor is limiting your exposure to negative influences. This does not mean cutting off friends or family who do not share your mindset, but it does mean being mindful of how much influence they have over you. If you are constantly pulled into negative conversations and unhealthy habits, establish boundaries for yourself. You may need to reduce the time spent in certain social settings or redirect conversations toward more constructive topics. If someone in your life consistently drags you down, ask yourself whether that relationship is truly worth maintaining. Additionally, remember that you are responsible for the environment you create. If you want to be surrounded by disciplined individuals, you must also embody discipline yourself. Be the example that others want to follow. When you demonstrate persistence, commitment, and accountability, you will naturally attract like-minded people. This creates a positive cycle where everyone uplifts one another rather than pulling each other down. Discipline is not a solitary journey. We are always influenced by those around us, and if you choose your environment wisely, you will find that maintaining discipline becomes far easier. Seek out those who push you to go further, those who inspire you to become the best version of yourself. When you surround yourself with the right people, you do not just build discipline, you create a thriving ecosystem that sustains your growth for a lifetime. 7. Control your environment. Your surroundings influence you more than you realize, shaping your habits, mindset, and daily actions. Stoicism teaches that discipline is not just a battle of willpower. It is the result of creating an environment that supports the right habits. Epictetus once said, "Don't try to be strong by resisting temptation. Instead, remove the things that tempt you in the first place." This means that if you want to be disciplined, you cannot rely solely on willpower. You must actively design your environment in a way that makes discipline effortless. Consider this: if you are trying to eat healthy, but your kitchen is filled with junk food, you will constantly have to fight the urge to indulge. But if you never bring those foods home in the first place, you won't need willpower to resist them. You simply won't have the option. This is how the Stoics maintained control over their lives. Rather than struggling against temptation, they eliminated it at its source. You do not need to fight against yourself if your environment is already set up to help you succeed. One of the first steps to controlling your environment is eliminating distractions. If you want to work more efficiently, ensure that your workspace is clean, organized, and free from anything that might break your focus. Turn off notifications on your phone. Use Do Not Disturb mode, or even leave your phone in another room if social media is a constant temptation. If you want to exercise every morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before to remove any barriers between you and the action you need to take. These small adjustments can have a significant impact on your habits because they make the right choices easier and the wrong ones harder. Your environment is not just physical. It also includes the information you consume daily. Ask yourself, does the content you engage with make you better? If you spend hours scrolling through social media, consuming negative news, or watching meaningless entertainment, you are immersing yourself in a toxic mental environment without even realizing it. The Stoics understood that you become what you expose your mind to. So be intentional about what you allow into your thoughts. Instead of wasting time on distractions, read books, listen to inspiring podcasts, or follow people who push you to improve. When you cultivate a mentally enriching environment, your thoughts and actions will naturally align with growth. Another crucial aspect of controlling your environment is shaping habits through triggers. If you want to build a new habit, create visual cues that remind you to take action. For instance, if you want to drink more water, always keep a water bottle on your desk. If you want to read instead of scrolling on your phone before bed, place a book by your bedside instead of your phone. By designing your environment to reinforce good habits, you will reduce your reliance on willpower, making discipline a natural part of your routine. Remember, your environment does not just influence you in the short term. It shapes how you see yourself over time. If you live in a space filled with laziness, chaos, and disorder, you will unconsciously adopt those traits and accept mediocrity. But if you surround yourself with order, discipline, and high standards, you will naturally hold yourself accountable to a higher level of excellence. This is why disciplined people do not rely on willpower alone. They structure their lives in a way that makes discipline the default. Ultimately, controlling your environment does not mean creating a perfect, challenge-free space, but rather minimizing unnecessary obstacles that hinder your progress. Life will always present unpredictable challenges, but by proactively shaping an environment that supports your discipline, you create a strong foundation to navigate them. No one can maintain perfect discipline at all times, but if your surroundings are set up correctly, you won't have to rely so much on willpower to do what matters. When your environment works in your favor, discipline stops feeling like a struggle and becomes a natural way of living. 8. Build small habits. We often believe that to change our lives, we must take massive leaps, requiring an intense burst of willpower to completely transform ourselves. But in reality, lasting change does not come from grand decisions. It comes from small habits repeated every day. Stoicism teaches that success is not the result of a single explosive moment, but rather the accumulation of disciplined actions sustained over time. Epictetus once said, "Progress is not achieved by luck, but by daily training." This means that if you want to change yourself, you do not need to wait for the perfect moment. You only need to start with a small action and commit to it consistently. The problem most people face is that they set overly ambitious goals and expect immediate results. They want to exercise but push themselves too hard on the first day, leading to exhaustion and quitting. They want to read more books but set unrealistic targets, like finishing one book per week, only to lose motivation when they fall behind. They want to develop discipline, but demand perfection from the start, and when they inevitably fail, they feel discouraged and give up. This is a common mistake. People overestimate the impact of big changes in the short term, while underestimating the power of small actions over the long term. Think about how a single drop of water can wear down a rock. One drop alone has little power, but when it falls in the same place day after day, year after year, it creates a remarkable transformation. The same is true for habits. A small action, when repeated consistently, can create massive change in your life. If you want to build discipline, you do not need to start with overwhelming challenges or laws. Start with a simple action that you can do daily. Instead of forcing yourself to work out for an hour, begin with 5 push-ups. Instead of trying to read 50 pages a day, start with just 1 page each night. Instead of committing to 30 minutes of meditation, take 2 minutes to focus on your breath. When you can maintain a small action consistently, you build a strong foundation for larger habits. The most important part of building habits is not the size of the action, but its consistency. If you perform a small action every day, it will eventually become a natural part of your life. Over time, you will no longer need to force yourself to do it. It will simply become who you are. This is known as the compound effect of habits. Small changes, when performed consistently, accumulate and lead to extraordinary results. A person does not need to train intensely every day to become physically strong. They only need to maintain a sustainable workout routine over years. A person does not need to read hundreds of books to become wise. They only need to cultivate a habit of reading a little every day. Persistence matters far more than any short-lived burst of effort. One effective way to maintain small habits is to attach them to existing routines. If you already have a habit of drinking coffee in the morning, use that time to write down 3 things you are grateful for. If you brush your teeth before bed, add the habit of reading 1 page. When you link a new habit to an established one, you make it easier to sustain without relying on willpower. The Stoics understood that success does not come from isolated efforts, but from systems that enable long-term discipline. If you want to change yourself, create a system that makes it easier to do the right thing than the wrong one. The final key is to focus on progress, not perfection. There will be days when you miss your habit, and that is perfectly normal. But instead of quitting just because of one failure, immediately return to your routine. Successful people are not those who never fail. They are those who do not let small failures knock them off course. If you skip a workout, do not try to compensate with an overly intense session the next day. Just return to your normal habit. If you forget to journal one day, do not feel guilty. Simply continue the next day. Persistence matters more than perfection. 9. Mastering the art of delayed gratification. We live in a world where everything is instantly available. With a single click, you can order food, binge-watch countless shows, chat with friends, and immerse yourself in endless entertainment. But this convenience has cost us something vital. We have lost our ability to wait, our patience, and most importantly, our discipline. Stoicism teaches that instant gratification is the greatest enemy of growth, because when you constantly seek immediate rewards, you will never develop the perseverance needed to achieve long-term goals. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We must control ourselves and not be led by fleeting temptations, for discipline is the path to true freedom." If you want to take charge of your life, you must learn to delay gratification and strive for rewards that are truly worthwhile. Human nature is drawn to ease. When faced with 2 choices, watching a movie or learning a new skill, most people will choose the more comfortable option. But if you always take the easy path, you will remain stagnant. Successful individuals are not those with stronger motivation than you. They are the ones who can control themselves, resisting short-term temptations to pursue greater goals. They understand that anything worthwhile requires patience, and if they want something of real value, they must be willing to wait. A tree does not grow overnight. A body does not transform after a single workout, and wisdom is not gained from reading 1 book. Everything takes time, and if you are unwilling to wait, you will never achieve anything truly lasting. One effective way to practice delayed gratification is to create barriers that force you to pause before acting. If you frequently scroll through social media while working, leave your phone in another room, or use an app to block distracting websites. If you struggle with eating junk food, do not buy it in the first place so you are not tempted. By inserting a moment of reflection between impulse and action, you give yourself time to decide whether you truly need to engage in that behavior. The Stoics understood that willpower is not infinite, so instead of relying solely on mental strength, they structured their environment to make good decisions easier. Another powerful strategy is to set small challenges for yourself to build self-control. If you crave a snack, wait 5 extra minutes before eating it. If you feel the urge to check your phone, complete an important task first. These small tests train your mind to resist immediate desires, and over time, you will find yourself no longer controlled by trivial temptations. The goal is not to eliminate all short-term pleasures, but to master them so that you decide when to indulge, rather than letting fleeting impulses dictate your actions. Once you master delayed gratification, you will notice profound changes in your life. You will become more productive because distractions will no longer control you. Your mind will grow stronger because you will no longer be swayed by fleeting emotions. Your discipline will sharpen because you will understand that true rewards come only to those who are willing to wait and work for them. The Stoics knew that perseverance is one of the greatest human strengths, and if you can master yourself, nothing can stop you from reaching your goals. Finally, remember that delaying gratification does not mean depriving yourself of joy. It means choosing more meaningful rewards. Instead of seeking quick pleasures, invest in what brings lasting fulfillment. Instead of spending hours on entertainment, dedicate time to learning and self-improvement. Instead of wasting money on fleeting luxuries, invest in yourself and your future. When you live by this principle, you will not only cultivate discipline, but also build a life of meaning and achievement. Stoicism teaches that true freedom does not come from doing whatever you want in the moment. It comes from mastering yourself and focusing on what truly matters. And once you learn that, nothing can stop you from becoming the best version of yourself. Stoic philosophy is not just a collection of lofty teachings found in books. It is a way of life that can be applied daily. When we understand that it is not an inherent trait, but a skill that can be cultivated, we begin to see ourselves differently. To build a more disciplined life, the first thing I do is shape my environment. I know that my willpower is not always strong, so I create a system that makes it easier to make the right choices. I declutter my workspace to eliminate distractions, put my phone on silent when I need to focus, and always prepare my schedule in advance to avoid falling into procrastination. These small actions may seem insignificant, but in reality, they make a huge difference in maintaining discipline. I also recognize that discipline is difficult to sustain alone, so I surround myself with people who share a mindset of growth and self-discipline. I join self-improvement communities, follow inspiring individuals, and stay connected with friends who have similar goals. When you immerse yourself in an environment where everyone is striving to be better, you naturally rise with them. This is how I apply Stoicism to my life. Not through sudden, drastic changes, but through small, consistent actions every day. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future insights on discipline, willpower, and mastering your life. Comment below with the principle that resonated with you most, or the Stoic practice you plan to implement right away. And if you want to continue your journey of self-mastery, check out the next videos on this channel, where we dive deeper into the secrets that will help you become the strongest version of yourself. See you in the next video.